Hello and welcome back to True Crime Guys Podcast. I'm your host, Michael, and y'all know better if you think Andy didn't show up.
Y'all know better? Y'all think you know better than me?
Better.
You don't know better than me? You don't know me?
I know better than you, Andy, because I didn't tell you about the case today.
Oh, well,
I'm going to let you discover it like everyone else, because it is a hell of a tale.
Well, I'm in for an adventure today, then.
You are. It's not fun, but it is an insane story. I'm not going to lie. I hope you guys haven't heard this story before. I can't believe I haven't. I saw this gentleman's picture, which I'm not even going to say his name. I'm not going to say his name. I mean, you guys could probably see it in the description, but don't, okay?
Right.
Don't read the description. Just listen to the episode.
Right, go in blind.
But before we get into it, guys, I got to remind you, you can catch these episodes early and ad-free on Patreon, patreon.com/truecrimeguys for just $3 a month, guys. Get rid of these ads for $3 a month. What a bargain.
Right?
What a bargain. But also, here on the free platform, you can check out our other shows, Strange and Unexplained and Cryptic Soup with Dina and Kylie. New episodes of Cryptic Soup come out every single Wednesday. Make sure you give them a follow on Instagram as well, at Cryptic Soup Pod. And real quick, I have some news about Strange and Unexplained. So here's what we're going to do moving forward. Strange and Unexplained will only be available on Patreon, okay? That's patreon.com/truecrimeguys. But here's the thing. It will be free. So instead of paying multiple podcast fees every year for all of these different shows on the free platform, Patreon has now allowed us to have free memberships. So I'm like, I'm just going to publish it for free on Patreon.
Right? Yeah, makes sense.
So everyone who is a patron, and whether you pay or not, you will be able to hear past episodes of Strange and Unexplained and new ones when we bring it back.
Right.
So just wanted to let you guys know about that. That is coming in the future. There's a link to Patreon right below the description of this episode. And also give us a follow on social media while you're on your phone there or whatever you're listening on, at True Crime Guys on Instagram, Facebook, X, all the things. Yeah, all the things. And you can send case suggestions there as well. We've actually done case suggestions for the last 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. This week is not a case suggestion. You know, every once in a while something catches my eye.
Right.
And this was one of those. I actually found this case on Reddit, and it was titled Vanishing Blonde, which I hate. I hate that title.
Yeah, that just sounds like such a throwaway case.
I'm
when you
sorry.
see something just like that, you're like, oh, another lady goes missing. I'm saying jaded, but like,
yeah, that is
like, well,
you sound so jaded right now,
yeah,
Andy. But when you search true crime every day, yeah, or nearly every day, yeah, it's nothing new, right? But I kept scrolling, and people kept commenting and upvoting on this article, and they're like, oh my God, just finished this, amazing, so glad I read this, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, all right, you guys got me. So I read it, and it is an absolute insane story.
Yeah, right. This is not just so much a vanishing blonde so much as a
oh no, just the tip of the
hole.
Iceberg.
Yeah, this is more like Alice going down the rabbit hole in Wonderland.
Indeed. So hopefully I thought of a better title for this by post date, but if not, don't be fooled by this crappy title. But let me give you a little teaser about today's episode before we get into that intro. So after a woman living in a hotel in Florida, Miami to be exact, was raped, viciously beaten, and left for dead near the Everglades in 2005, the police investigation very quickly went cold. But when the victim sued the Airport Regency hotel, the hotel then hired a private investigator to get to the bottom of this. And the main question they had was, how had the 21-year-old blonde disappeared from her room completely unseen by hotel security? And this is an airport hotel, okay? Yeah. They have top-of-the-line security in Miami.
Yeah, major airport.
Right. So somehow she got out of her room for this awful crime to happen to her, and they don't know how.
Yeah.
Or at least she doesn't know how either.
Yeah.
So that's why she, is suing the airport.
Yeah.
Or the hotel, I'm sorry.
So again, yeah, this was a cold case that opened up this kind of rabbit hole of, oh my God, what do we really have here?
What an understatement.
Right.
All right, Andy, roll that intro. Let's get into it.
Let's dive in.
It's about 8:15, 8:30 in the morning. You've got a Florida Power and Light worker driving up the street, and he notices what he thinks is a body.
I remember voices around me. Somebody asked me what was my name. I was in pain. Very, very, very painful. painful. I wanted to have an occupation in my life. I want to be someone. But I guess it's all changed.
Look at these. I didn't do that. You were there. I didn't do that. You're being charged with rape. All right? She says I raped her.
I knew this was the guy. I was gonna catch this guy.
All right. So, Andy, I'm going to unveil it to you the same way it was unveiled to me, because I really liked the way that I originally read this story. The first article I read, absolutely amazing. It was it was published on Vanity Fair. Okay. You guys can check it. It is the first link in the sources, so you guys can check out this article. Amazing article if you want to know more about this. But a battered 21-year-old woman with long blonde hair was found lying face down in the weeds, naked at the western edge of Miami, right on the edge of the Everglades. Now, this was February of 2005. Even though Miami, I don't want to be naked anywhere in February in the United States.
Not out in the Everglades.
Not outside, at least.
No.
Not
I don't want to be
outside.
in the Everglades.
I don't want to go to Miami.
Right.
I'm just kidding. But a local power company worker was driving by empty lots in a cul-de-sac when he saw her body. And what's crazy is she was still alive. When she woke up, she could remember very little about what had happened, but they were able to deduce that she had been raped, she had been badly beaten, and for all intents and purposes, she was left for dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You can tell. Whoever left her there did not think she survived.
Yeah, she was fucked up.
And honestly, if the power company worker hadn't come by, she may have suffocated in the mud unconscious.
Oh, probably. There's a good chance.
Yeah. She also had suffered severe head trauma. Semen was recovered from her body, and the bones around her right eye were completely shattered. She was terrified and most of all confused.
Yeah, she had no idea.
No idea where she was, how she got there, anything. And what made things even worse was she didn't speak very good English. She was Ukrainian and had a very, very thick Ukrainian accent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which made her very hard to understand. But they did understand that the first thing she asked for was her lawyer.
Right.
They thought that was odd. They're like, honey, no, whoever did this to you needs a lawyer.
Right.
You don't need a lawyer.
Yeah. Why do you need a lawyer?
What are you doing?
That's always a good thing to ask for when you get any situation with the police, whether you're a victim or if you're being accused of anything.
Listen, she woke up out there. She was pissed.
Yeah.
She's like, what the hell did this hotel do to me?
Exactly. Yeah. The first person to blame was the hotel in her mind. But yeah, always talk to a lawyer if you can.
Exactly. Now, Miami detectives learned that she had been living for months at the Airport Regency Hotel, 8 miles from where she was found. She was employed by a cruise ship line and apparently at work had severely cut her finger on the job. So when they docked in Miami, they put her up in the hotel until she had fully healed.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why she was living in the hotel. Now, this assault had actually begun in her room. There was evidence of that on the 4th floor of the hotel. You know how many security cameras you got to pass?
Yeah.
To get from the 4th floor out of that hotel?
Mm-hmm.
Let me put it to you this way, Andy, a lot.
There's a lot of people in those hotels,
There's
too, in an
lot.
Airport Regency near the Miami airport.
Mm-hmm. But what's crazy is she described her attackers as 2 or 3 white men who spoke with accents that she heard as Hispanic, but she was not certain.
Okay. Very conflicting story so far, but we'll see.
Yes. She remembered one of the men pushing a pillow into her face, and she also remembered being forced to drink something strong, something alcoholic.
Okay.
And she was like collecting these memories like fragments, basically, of like a dream. It wasn't making a whole lot of sense.
Okay.
She had visions of being held up, she said, or carried, or being thrown over a shoulder, going downstairs, pleading for her life. But there was just nothing that the cops could really go on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was nothing that they could tie to and be like, okay, now we can search for this guy.
Yeah, right.
No, because you're saying multiple people, you're going from white to Hispanic to all these different accents and whatnot.
But you can't give us a specific an image. You can't give us a person or an image or a sketch or anything to go off of.
Exactly. And so you can see how this case went cold very early. And then to make things worse and to complicate matters, her lawyer files a lawsuit against the hotel alleging negligence. So going after corporate pockets, obviously. But the detectives thought that something was off about this. They're like, what? Why is this your first priority? Why don't you want to know what happened to her? So they were like, this is not a typical rape victim here.
Yeah.
Is this some kind of con to get something out of the hotel?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? It's like, whoo,
Well,
that's crazy. How do you argue with someone who's been raped and beaten that badly, and then you say she hasn't?
Yeah, there's pretty much solid evidence that she has.
Yeah.
You don't wind up in that situation, like where she was found in that circumstance.
Even
on
for a
your own.
lawsuit,
Yeah.
I'm not putting myself through that.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And also with her initial testimony of saying that she remembers it being 2 to 3, white men or Hispanic possibly at the same time. If they go back and look at the security footages, they're looking for like a group, like 2 to 3 men leaving that area together around.
Should be really easy to find, right?
Yeah, like 3 guys who look kind of disheveled and possibly angry or whatever, leaving. But no, if that's not who you're actually looking for, you don't know who you're actually going to find.
Exactly. So the police, they combed the woman's room for evidence. They interviewed hotel employees. They got images from surveillance cameras from the morning of the crime, the whole freaking day. The hotel had 174 rooms, and so many people came and went that it would have taken months working full time to run checks on every single one of them. And after several weeks, they were kind of all dried up. The head detective on the case, his name was Alan Foote. I'll refer to him as Foote, F-O-O-T-E.
Okay.
Maybe Foote?
Foote?
Foote. I don't know. I'm going to call him Foote, though. But yeah, after several weeks, Foote was like, we don't know where to go. We got nothing. We literally have nothing. So all the action in this case was headed towards civil court, apparently, with the victim wanting to sue the hotel.
Yeah.
So the hotel was like, all right, hold on a second. We're going to figure out what the fuck happened. So they hire a private eye named Ken Brennan to figure out what happened. And that was probably the best decision they could have ever made.
Right? This is one of those real good examples of what a private eye can actually
Brennan's
do.
just an old school PI, bro. He just fucking does the legwork.
Right.
Simple as that, dude.
Got a dingy office, wooden desk, bourbon on the desk, just cigarette.
He's a fucking Long Island guy. Don't take no shit. You know what I'm saying?
Chain smoking in his office,
Yeah.
monologuing
So
to
feel free
himself.
to do your thick New York accents for this guy. If we
It was a long time since that dame came into my office.
Exactly. Let me give you a little background on Brennan, okay? He had been a cop on Long Island, where he was born and raised, okay? He had worked 8 years as a DEA agent, and he left the agency in the mid-'90s to work as a private detective.
God, yeah, this guy's just...
Okay? I mean, just a standard resume right here.
I know, this guy's like, I can make more money just doing this on my own. I got to worry about all this bureaucratic red tape here.
But yeah, I mean, and he's a talkative guy, right? He knows how to talk his way in and out of situations. He has a very thick Long Island accent and a very strict policy when it comes to the jobs he takes. He tells his employers up front, he says, I'll find out what happened. I'm not going to shade things to assist your client, but I will find out what the truth is.
Yeah, that's the guy right there. It's like, listen,
the guy you want, man.
You want me to find out shit?
Do you want the truth? If you don't want the truth, don't hire me.
Listen, I'm gonna find out some shit. Like, if you don't want, you might not want to know some shit, but I'm gonna find out some shit.
Find out some shit.
You better be ready to hear some shit.
What's a good number? What's a good number for you? Go ahead. A good number all day.
Shit.
Can I call you at midnight? Yeah. All right.
I hear lots of shit.
Yep. But Detective Foote, he shared everything he had in his file with Brennan, from crime scene photos, surveillance footage, the victim's very confused statement. And Foote had interviewed a couple of hotel staff members, but they really hadn't seen a thing. And he told Brennan the same thing. He's basically gone as far as he can with it. He's like, there's nothing here, so good luck. And as Brennan started reviewing the case, it was pretty easy to see why he felt that way. I mean, the woman's memory was all over the place. First, she said she'd been attacked by 1 man, then 3, then 2. At one point, she said their accent may have not been Hispanic, but maybe Romanian. I mean, there was just so much once you actually looked in the file. And there was, worst of all, there was no evidence to implicate any one person.
Nope, nothing specific to ID anybody.
No. And this hotel had a legit security system. The property was fenced. The back gates were locked and monitored. There were only a few points of entry and exit, and during the night, the back door was locked and could be opened only via remote.
Okay, so you had to go out the main lobby.
Yes, you did. There were 2 security guards on duty at all times. Each exit was equipped with a surveillance camera, and all of the hotel guests had digital key cards that left a computer record every time they unlocked or locked the doors to their rooms. Every time. And you could track the comings of goings of literally every person who checked in.
Yep. Most hotels, that's how a lot of hotels are nowadays. Those doors keep records of every time they open and close.
Exactly. So what Brennan decided to do was he's like, I got to go with what I know. That's it.
Yep.
That's all the very limited information. And then he went to the footage and he just studied everything. So the blonde woman is seen exiting the elevator at about 3 a.m. and the camera over the front entrance sees her walking away. She told investigators that she walked to a nearby gas station to buy a phone card because she wanted to call her mother back in Ukraine, because that's about the time her mother would be getting up, she said. So minutes after her departure, the camera catches her return. Then the lobby camera catches her re-entering the hotel. Moments later, she's seen entering the elevator for her final trip upstairs. Also, when she gets on the elevator, a large black man gets on the elevator right behind her, and the recording shows them exchanging a few words. Then, later, her key card is activated at her room. Just moments later. Now, initially when they found out this information, they thought there was a 20-minute gap between when she got on the elevator and when she finally went to her room. And they're like, what the hell happened in that 20 minutes? But it was actually just a discrepancy in the card reader clock and then the clock on the elevator.
Yeah, on the security camera.
On the security camera at the elevator. Yes, it was off by 20 minutes.
Right.
So that solved that mystery. So actually there really was no time. So she went from that elevator where she was seen with the large black man on the elevator. She went straight up to her room, and then her key card was used. All right.
Now, if I remember correctly, they do not have a camera at her room, like where they can see her room door.
No.
Or her getting off at her room.
No,
So-
but they just know the card was used. That's all. Now, the surveillance cameras were all in perfect working condition, okay? So you can rule that out. They were activated by motion detectors, and detectives put these things through the works. They were trying to sneak around. They were trying to walk slow. They were trying to crawl. They were trying to stand in corners and slip by. They could not.
No.
No matter what they did, the cameras clicked on and caught them every single time. So, Brennan, with that confidence, Brennan was like, well, if she left, she's on the damn cameras.
Somehow they got her
Period.
out of there.
She's on them. So Brennan began studying the video until he could account for every single coming and going. This painstaking process left him with only one suspect. The man seen entering the elevator behind her at 3:41 a.m. The large black man was wearing glasses. He looked to be at least 6'4" and upwards of 300 pounds. He and the woman are seen talking as they enter the elevator. Like
That's
I said,
a big boy right there, too.
Yes, it is. Now, the exact same man emerges from the elevator into the lobby less than 2 hours later at 5:28 a.m. He's pulling a suitcase with wheels, and he is seen rolling the suitcase out toward the parking lot. He returns less than an hour later, shortly before dawn, without the bag. He gets back on the elevator and then heads upstairs. Now tell me, Andy, why would a man haul his luggage out of the hotel, then return to his room without it for any time at all?
Especially at 5 in the morning.
5 in the morning.
Let's leave the hotel
So,
at 5:30 in the morning with a
Put
suitcase
our
full of
bag
luggage,
in the car, I guess.
drive for an hour, and come back empty-handed, go back to the hotel. Yeah, that's a logical transaction.
It's weird, but it's nothing to get alarmed about.
It's not evidence.
No.
It's circumstantial, but it's not any kind of hard evidence.
Exactly. Now, because that was such a weird thing, it really got Brennan thinking, okay? And he thought, what if she's in the suitcase?
Yeah. It's not that hard to make that jump.
I mean, what if she's in the suitcase? So what he did was he started matching the visible reference points in the video, and he was able to get a really close approximation of the suitcase's actual size. Like he was able to look like the tiles in the floor as the suitcase rolled over it, and he was like, okay, it takes up 2 tiles. I'm just giving you an example. And
How's
then
it
he
look
went
next
to
to
the
the counter
hotel and
and-
he measured it, and he was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
A young, flexible woman could fit in the suitcase.
Yeah. Or if she's
Absolutely.
unconscious and she's forced in there, then yeah.
Exactly.
Doesn't really matter how flexible she is.
That's very true. It's very true. And Brennan also notices something else. When the man steps off the elevator with the bag, as he does, the wheels on the suitcase catch in the space between the elevator floor and the ground floor just for a split second, but he actually has to give it like an effort, like a tug to get it out.
Because it got some weight to it.
I mean, this man's 300 pounds, Andy. If he has to tug it out, there's something heavy.
Yeah, there's something in that suitcase
man.
that's causing it to get stuck that fast.
Exactly. So Brennan had seen enough at this point. So he calls a meeting at the hotel, November 17th, 2005. The owners were there, the lawyers were there, all the people who control the money and whether or not Brennan's getting paid. And on a laptop screen, Brennan pulled up the image of the large man pulling his suitcase off the elevator, and he said, "This is the guy that did it, and that girl is in the suitcase."
Puts a cigarette out on their papers. Now pay me.
Well, not yet, because they didn't buy it, Andy.
I think he still did that.
Oh, I'm sure he did. But there was some snickering, and it was close. But ultimately, they were like, you know what? We'll humor you.
Really?
Continue.
I feel like that's not that hard of a jump to make.
It's really not, Andy. It's really not. But in the video, the suitcase does look small, but he is a giant man.
Mm-hmm. So I'm saying you have to compare it to other things, not just him.
Exactly. Anyways, Brennan gets to get back to work, and he's stoked. Like, at this point, he's like, I'm about to catch this motherfucker. Like, I don't care if I get paid or not. Like, this guy's going down.
For me now.
Seriously. So the hotel's records were useless. Even if the hotel staff remembered a 300-pound black man with glasses, which they did not, Andy. I can't believe it.
This guy's giant. He's so big.
He really is. There was no way to tell whether he was a registered hotel guest or just a visitor or if he was sharing someone else's room, right? So Brennan went back to the video. Now that he knew who he was looking for, he scrutinized every appearance of this man. In one of the video snippets, while he was standing at the elevator, the suspect is seen walking with another man wearing a white T-shirt and the word Mercury on the front.
Okay, like Freddie?
Nope, just Mercury.
Okay.
That's all.
It's in retrograde now, but okay.
I guess it's spelled the same.
Yeah.
But in the restaurant footage, the man in the T-shirt is seen from behind in another shot in the restaurant. And Brennan can see another word on the back of his T-shirt. And to him, it looked like the word Verado. So he Googled it and found out that Verado was actually the name of a new outboard engine manufactured by Mercury Marine, which was a boat engine manufacturer.
Okay. This guy's doing some real detective work.
He really is. It gets better. Now, Mercury Marine is a subsidiary of the Brunswick Corporation, which also manufactures billiards and bowling equipment and other recreational products. So Brennan called the head of security at Mercury Marine. His name was Alan Sperling, or at Brunswick, I'm sorry.
Okay.
The mother corporation. Alan Sperling is the head of security there. So Brennan called him and explained, what's going on, what he's trying to do. And Brennan basically asked him, where'd the shirts go? Who's got the shirts?
Yeah,
where'd
which one
he
of
get
your
them?
employees get these shirts?
Exactly. And Sperling said the only place the shirts had been given away was the boat show's food court. So, the local boat show there. So the company that handled the food for the show was called Centerplate. They mostly do concessions for large sporting events and conventions. Brennan called the head of human resources at Centerplate, who told him that the company had put up some of its people at the Regency, but it hired more than 200 people just for that one boat show, so he would have to be more specific. So he was like, bet. He's black, 300 pounds, and wears glasses.
Yeah, big dude, looks like this. Looks like he could be on any offensive line.
Right? Yeah, he's that guy.
Yeah.
But it turned out that some of their workers did remember a big black man with glasses, but no one knew his name, of course, Andy. Someone said that the company had initially hired the man to work at Zephyr Field, home of the New Orleans Zephyrs, the minor league baseball team in Metairie, New Orleans. So Brennan calls down there, he works his magic, and the local Metairie captain sent one of his sergeants out to Zephyr Field, and it wasn't long before he heard back. He said, I got good news, I got bad news. The good news is his name is Mike Jones. The bad news is that's all I know, and there's probably 1 million of them.
There's a lot. I was fighting the urge to be like, who? Mike Jones.
Exactly.
But yes.
So, yeah, his name is Mike Jones, and nobody knows where he went from here. But hey, Brennan has a name now, right? That's good. That's amazing. That's better than what we were doing. So now he takes that name, goes back to the Regency database, and he found that there had indeed been a guest named Mike Jones staying at the hotel when the attack occurred.
Okay.
He checked in on February 14th, Valentine's Day, 7 days before the assault, and had checked out on the 22nd, 1 day after he was seen rolling his suitcase to the car. Now, the full name on his Visa card was Michael Lee Jones. The card had been canceled, and the address was for a Virginia residence that Jones had vacated years earlier. He left no forwarding address, and the phone number Jones left was just a registration number for Centerplate.
God, this guy's covering his tracks.
Yeah.
This is showing some evidence that he knows that
He's experienced, huh?
This is showing some premeditation here, that he may
Mm-hmm.
be planning something before he ever got there.
He may be. Brennan was thinking the same thing, and he quickly figured out that the Centerplate job was perfect for Jones. It kept him moving from city to city, all expenses paid, which was a perfect setup for his serial rapist activities, Andy.
Yeah.
I mean, perfect. If Jones was his man and he wasn't working for Centerplate, then he was certainly working for some similar company.
Yeah.
You
a
follow
company
me?
that's sending people around to do these events in major
Exactly.
cities for a
so
few
Brennan's
days.
like, okay, so he does this type of work. This suits him. So he compiled a list of Centerplate's top 20 competitors. Again, freaking legwork, dude.
Dude, this
you
dude
know
is
how many
fucking-
no's this guy heard?
All right, Kojak, let's
Oh my
bring this
God.
home. Let's stick the landing here, bud.
Seriously.
Gotta stick the landing on this one.
He's got it. So he started working his way down the list, calling the human resources department for each of the competing firms. One company on the list, Ovations, had its headquarters in Tampa Bay. And Brennan was planning a trip up in that direction anyway, so he decided to drop in. And when he did, he explained his manhunt and asked if Ovations employed a 300-plus pound black man with glasses named Michael Lee Jones. The executive didn't even check his computer, Andy. He told Brennan that if he wanted that information, he would have to go get it subpoenaed.
Okay.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not giving it.
I mean, it makes
Simple
total
as that.
sense. That's,
But check this out,
that's
though.
totally fair.
Every other company just told him no. They checked the database and said no.
Okay.
This was the only company that said, no, you need to get a warrant for that information.
Okay. Well, again, that is totally, it's again, it's suspect, but it's not illegal. It's nothing wrong.
not illegal.
That's a major company that,
But it does let you know that he works here.
Yes. But again, it's a private company that a private detective is requesting their employees' information.
Exactly.
It's not
No,
the
they're not
police.
doing anything wrong.
So that's totally legal and kind of correct for them to be like, we're not going to give out our employees' information without a warrant.
I feel that.
So,
I feel that. But that's how he knew that he was an employee there.
Yeah,
Instead
it's a
of
good
them just
answer.
saying, no, yeah. So Brennan got a fax number for Ovations, and he quickly called his friend, Detective Foote, in Miami, and before long, boom, a warrant. Faxed right over.
So
Now-
you need that by,
now, give me that information, bitch.
if I come back by like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, we can still do
You
this?
good? Yeah.
All right. You can be here?
Yeah.
Be back.
And shocker, Andy, it turned out that Ovations did have an employee named Michael Lee Jones who fit the description, and he was currently working in Frederick, Maryland.
Okay. Getting somewhere now.
That's right. Michael Lee Jones was standing behind a barbecue counter at Harry Grove Stadium, home of the minor league Frederick Keys, when Detective Foote and one of his partners showed up to talk to him. And they admitted Jones's size was pretty intimidating, but his manner was extremely soft-spoken and gentle, even passive.
Yeah. Very unnerving.
Yes, and he very
Unthreatening,
aggressive,
yeah.
unthreatening look, really. He wore clear-rimmed glasses. He spoke in a very friendly way, and he was also in charge of operations at the food counter and appeared to be really well-liked and even respected by his employees.
Okay,
Like-
making this hard. It's one of those situations where you've built up this image of the person so much, and you meet them, you're like, did I get it right?
Right. There's other sides to this man.
Yeah, am
right?
I right?
Exactly. So Foote really didn't waste any time, honestly. He was pretty upfront with the questioning. First, he asked if he had had sex. He asked if Jones had had sex with anyone at the Airport Regency, and Jones said no at first. He said that the woman he had sex with in Miami had been working at the boat show and they had hooked up elsewhere. Foote asked, any blonde women? He said no. Any women with a foreign accent? Jones said the woman he had sex with in Miami had been German. Odd.
Okay. I'm glad that the detective is answering these questions, but I feel like Brandon would have been the one who's been like, hey, come here. You doing anybody at the Regency?
Right?
No,
yeah.
don't walk away. I got questions.
No, Brennan went up there and talked to him too a few times. A lot of those conversations aren't recorded because they're probably a little more aggressive.
Out by his car
But,
somewhere.
To be fair, Foote was pretty forward. I mean, his next question was, I've got a girl who was raped that week. Did you have anything to do with it?
Damn.
And Jones says, no, of course not. No way. He says, so you didn't beat the shit out of this girl and leave her for dead in a field down there? oh, no.
Never. Not me, officer.
Foot's like, all right, fuck it. Are you willing to give me a DNA specimen? Jones says that he will.
Okay.
Shockingly, he comes right out and he's like, yeah, I will.
Yeah, I'll have sure, of course, absolutely.
And that was dumb because his DNA matched.
Right off. Yeah,
it matched. It was a spot-on match, Andy.
God damn it.
Yeah. So Brennan flew up to Frederick in October to meet Foote, who arrested the big man. And it had been 11 months since he took the case. Foote formally charged Jones with a variety of felonies that encompassed the acts of raping, kidnapping, and beating a young woman severely, almost to death. But Jones repeatedly denied everything in his surprisingly soft voice, gesturing broadly with his hands, protesting, insisting that he would never, ever, under any circumstances, do such a thing to a woman. He said that he never had any problems paying women for sex and that he did not get a kick out of hurting women.
Okay.
Now,
well, the DNA evidence and the video evidence argues a little bit differently.
A little bit. Now, he did admit, once the DNA test, linked him to the victim, that he had sex with her, but he insisted that she was a hooker and that he had paid her $100 and that when he left her, she was in fine shape, although very drunk.
Well, that's okay. You could have said that originally, but...
Oh, man, they grill him. Brennan asked him, why would a man roll his suitcase out to the parking lot and stash it in his car at 5 a.m. 2 days before he checks out of the hotel?
Yeah, it's a weird thing to do.
Yeah. Mike,
any evidence for that?
Yeah, Mike says, I couldn't remember if we were leaving that day or the next day. I wasn't sure. For some reason, I thought, fuck it, it's time to go. Yeah, I bet.
Yeah,
I bet
you did think it was time to go.
I bet you did. But Jones said that his suitcase had only his clothes, shoes, and a video game in it. But when the detective noted the extra tug Jones had needed to get it off the elevator, Jones suddenly remembered he had a number of large books in there too, Andy.
God, yeah.
I mean, he's an avid reader.
I also brought...
have I not brought that up?
I brought my Encyclopedia Britannica collection, obviously, that I'm trying to pawn off.
See, that would have been great, Andy, if he said that. But when he was asked what books he's reading, he couldn't name one. Not one title.
I love that.
It's like, really? Bro, you can't go back to some required reading in middle school. Just say a fucking book, dude.
Really? What are you reading?
They can't say,
books.
No, you haven't read that book.
Name 5 books. Any books. Name 5 books. Book of life.
You're an avid reader, bro. What are you doing? But honestly, even with all that circumstantial evidence, it would still come down to his word against the young woman's. And honestly, Andy, like I said, she was a terrible witness. She did pick Jones out of a photo lineup, but given how foggy her memory was, the fact that she had seen Jones before and talked to him in the elevator is enough for her to think that his face was familiar.
Yeah,
see what I mean? So
the
defense attorney kind of argued that away because he's like, yeah, well, they talked in the elevator all the way to her room.
Yeah, she would remember his face.
Exactly. So Miami prosecutors ended up settling with Jones, who, after being returned to Miami, pleaded guilty to sexual assault in return for having all the more severe charges against him completely dropped. He was sentenced to 2 years in prison, an outcome that Brennan would have found extremely disappointing. I think we all would have.
Yeah.
If it had been the end, Andy.
Oh, my thank God.
It was not. Here's a quote from Brennan. He says, "This ain't a one fucking time deal. I'm telling you, this is this guy's thing. He's got a job that sends him all over the country. Watch him on that video. He's slick. He's nonchalant. He's too cool, too calm. You'll see when you put his DNA into that system." And sure enough, dude, the system he's referring to, obviously, is the Combined DNA Index System, CODIS, right? The FBI administered database. I'm sure if you guys listen to True Crime regularly, you've heard that about a bajillion times. But Michael Lee Jones, oh my God, did he leave a trail?
Right,
I mean, and this was just... right off the bat, 3 hits come up.
Just put that right into the system, and just before the card even gets in there, it starts dinging, ding, 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 ding. What the?
There was one more recent victim in Colorado Springs, and then 2 victims in New Orleans.
Yeah, this guy's got a track record.
Yeah, so Colorado Springs Police Department, sex crime unit, had a rape assault case that had been bothering them for over a year. The victim was a blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman who had been picked up early in the morning on December 1st, 2005, by a stranger, a very large black man with glasses, who offered her a ride and then talked his way into her apartment, raped her, while he held his hand over her mouth. Okay?
Very similar situation so far.
Exactly. So, and then, like I said, there were 2 in New Orleans. I only have information on one of them. I don't understand why there's not information on the other. But one of the victims, there were 2 victims in New Orleans, but one of them was also a blonde, had been partying in the French Quarter a little too hard by her own admission. And very early on in the morning of May 5th, 2003, she went looking for a cab to her hotel when, once again, a large black man with glasses pulled his car over to the curb and offered her a ride. As she later testified, he drove her to a weedy lot and raped her. He pressed his hand over her face as he attacked her, and she testified that she bit his palm so hard she had bits of his skin in her teeth. When he was finished, he drove off, leaving her on the lot. She reported the rape to New Orleans police, who filed her account and took DNA samples from the rapist's semen.
God, yeah, this guy wasn't even caring. He was just literally leaving, like, no protection. He's just leaving DNA samples. He's also leaving these women alive after they've seen his face and everything. Like, he's not really caring so much about, like, he's trying to cover his tracks a little bit, but he's being very careless at the same time.
He really is. And to make matters even worse, it turns out that now that they had dates for these incidents and these crimes they could tie him to, they found out that he was in Colorado Springs and New Orleans on the dates in question.
Yeah, all they got to do is check his company records now.
Exactly. So in 2008, he was flown to Colorado Springs to stand trial. Unfortunately, the Colorado woman had died in the interim of unrelated causes. As a result, they fashioned a case out of 2 of the other rapes, calling as witnesses the Miami victim and one of the New Orleans victims, both of whom pointed out Jones as their attacker in the courtroom and, of course, the DNA evidence.
Mm-hmm.
So the New Orleans victim proved to be a very effective witness. But the Miami victim, on the other hand, as we know, the Ukrainian woman, was honestly every bit as bad on the stand as she was in Miami. It was pretty bad. One of Jones's lawyers had a field day with the different stories that she told police, plus her thick accent. But again, it's good that she was there, pointed him out, and has the DNA.
Yeah, has his DNA.
His DNA was linked to her crime. So, but of course, Jones pled not guilty to all charges in the Colorado case, and that mattered absolutely none.
Yeah, we got you kind of dead to rights here, bud.
Yes, because Michael Lee Jones is serving basically a life sentence at the Fremont Correctional Facility in Colorado. He received a term of 24 years to life for 1 count of sexual assault with force and 12 years to life for the 2nd count of felonious sexual contact. He is 38 years old and will not be eligible for his parole hearing until 2032. The state estimates his term will last until he dies.
Yeah, I don't see him getting out on parole with his track record of being like, oh, I'm such a big, gentle giant. And, really? Because we have fucking evidence.
You're tied to 3 rape cases.
You're tied to 3 violent rape cases in not over a long period of time.
No. Also, a little shining light, I guess. The Miami victim, the Ukrainian woman, actually did win a settlement. She won $300,000 from the hotel and the hotel security company. So I guess she wasn't so crazy to ask for a lawyer.
No, I don't think so.
She said, "This is America, and I can get some money."
Yeah, at the
Something
same
bad
time.
happened to me, and I'm getting paid, bitch.
Yeah, like I said, there's definitely a case to be made that something that terrible happened to you at a hotel that has a bunch of security, and nobody saw or heard anything.
Right.
That guy walked you out of that hotel in a suitcase, and nobody questioned, nobody saw at a weird fucking time. So yeah, it's like I can see where there's definitely a case to be made of. Was there some negligence that happened here? Was there anything that could have been done to prevent this? Maybe a little bit more security cameras up on the other floors.
I don't know how. I mean, because she never said that the man broke into her room.
Yeah, she doesn't remember.
No, she doesn't.
I don't think she remembers. I don't think she remembers a lot of what happened that night, and maybe she's not telling everything that happened that night.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, he was there. He followed her up to her room. He followed her up there, and he is seen leaving with that suitcase right when she's turned up missing.
What is up with the freaking testimony she gives? It's like, why say anything if you're that confused? Golly, you almost fucked everything up.
I know. Like I said, it's so much trauma. It's so much just like absolute shock that you're just trying to piece together. It's like trying to remember a dream. It's like you think you remember one thing this time, and then you think about it a little bit longer, and you're like, wait, it wasn't that. It was this, right? No, I think it was this, actually. That's what it was. I was remembering. It's just all this trauma, and intense, shock to your system that your brain doesn't remember it properly. You're putting it all together after the fact, and it's never going to be as clear as it was when it was happening.
That's true. Very true. Well, I mean, in that sense, it's probably even blurry while it's happening. You're trying to block it out. It's like a defense mechanism.
Yeah, you're trying to fight
You know
it.
what I mean? Yeah. And then if you're already heavily intoxicated, and I mean, she's held up in a hotel with a broken finger. What else does she have to do, man? You know what I'm saying? She's probably just having fun. She's like, well, whatever. I'm on their dime. I might as well drink it up.
Yeah,
party,
just have fun.
Yeah, until I'm all healed up. But man, it's a crazy case.
Yeah, like I said, this was a rabbit hole of an investigation, and this right here showed I know we made some jokes at his expense, but this was real detective work right here. This was
man.
This was not like the police did their job as well. They helped out this guy, but this guy was like, "Listen, I'm getting paid for this one specifically.
Right.
I know you got a bunch of other shit on your plate. I got this one. You know
Yeah.
what? I'm gonna find some shit out."
I wonder if they did pay him. Hopefully they did.
Oh, I'm sure
Even though
he
the
got
hotel
paid.
still had to pay out, though.
Oh, I'm sure he still got paid. He solved some crimes. Probably still in his contract. He's like, "Listen, I told you I was gonna find some shit. You may not like that shit
Right?
I find, but you still gotta pay me,
You
okay?
still gotta
Listen,
pay.
it's in the payment. You sign the line.
That's right.
Now, if you don't, I might find some shit about you,
That's right.
and you don't know who I'm gonna share that shit with.
Well, I got some shit to share with you, and it's amazing shit. It's Oh My Gaia.
Oh, that's that good shit.
That's that good shit. Oh My Gaia is an innovative all-natural deodorant, fragrance, and beard oil company specializing in paraben and aluminum-free products. And guys, I'm sure there's a scent for you at ohmygaia.com. And if you don't know where to start, from Sailor, Sweet Pea, Pear, Bergamot, Amber, Fireside, Honeysuckle, Lumberjack, Leather, Dreamsicle, Coconut, Egyptian Musk, Lemongrass, Lavender, Sandalwood, you could start with True Crimepine.
That's always
great
a good one right
Yeah,
there.
that's a good one too. All these are amazing. Guys, there's something for you for sure. And because you're True Crime Guys listeners, you can use the code word CRIMEPINE for 15% off your order. That's CRIMEPINE, CRIMEPINE, no spaces, okay? The word is typed out for you right below the description of this episode, which you can now read because it's the end of the episode.
Crimepine.
That's right. Again, that's for 15% off your order at ohmygaia.com, ohmygaia.com. Guys. Also, you can check out all types of new content and deals and bonuses and specials and all that stuff going on at shop_ohmygaia on Instagram. And while you're there, don't forget to give us a follow at True Crime Guys. And don't forget to check out that Patreon, patreon.com/True Crime Guys, where for just $3 a month, you can get access to these episodes early, ad-free, with bonus content, and tons of other stuff. All of our old episodes 1 through 200, they are available in the vault, as well as free episodes of Strange and Unexplained on our free Patreon platform. That's right. Those will be available very soon. I plan to go through in the next week and make all of the current Strange and Unexplained episodes on there free. So you guys will be able to subscribe to the Patreon and listen to Strange and Unexplained, and you'll also be up to date on everything that we release, and you'll see these episodes when they release. So, yeah, keeps everybody together, keeps everything together, and all that good stuff.
It's a community, people.
It's a community. All right, community. Well, I'll see you next week with a brand new True Crime Guys case. Until then, I guess you just keep on creeping.
Bye.